Hey, folks, it's your boy, the boss of economics, back with another piping hot take on the dumpster fire that is modern economic policy. If you're new here, buckle up, because we're about to rip apart bad government decisions, expose economic mismanagement, and dunk on the clowns running the show. Today, we're diving headfirst into the latest tariff tantrum from the Trump administration, because apparently, nothing screams economic genius like slapping a 10% universal tariff on everything while the global economy is already on life support. Let's break this down, from the surface shenanigans to the deep, dark economic abyss underneath. And trust me, we've got the data, the receipts, and the shade to back it all up. Alright, folks, let's set the scene. It's June 2025, and the Trump administration is back at it, playing fast and loose with the economy like a toddler with a flamethrower. This time, the drama revolves around Trump's so-called Liberation Day tariffs, announced on April 2, 2025, because apparently, nothing says freedom like taxing the snot out of businesses and consumers. These tariffs include a baseline 10% levy on all imports, with the promise of even juicier rates for certain unfriendly trading partners. And just for fun, Trump's thrown in some extra import taxes tied to fentanyl trafficking, because why not conflate a public health crisis with economic policy? Classic Trumpian chaos. Now, two family-owned businesses, Learning Resources Incorporated and Hand2Mind Inc., makers of educational toys, have had enough of this nonsense. They've hauled the administration to court, arguing that Trump doesn't even have the legal authority to impose these tariffs under the 1977 International Emergency Economic Powers Act. A federal district judge agreed, but the Trump team, led by Solicitor General D. John Sauer, is whining to the Supreme Court, begging them not to fast-track the case. Why? Because they need more time for lower courts to weigh in. Translation: please, let us keep this economic clown show running a little longer before someone shuts it down. On the surface, this looks like just another legal spat, businesses versus big government, yawn. But folks, this is the tip of the iceberg. Beneath the headlines lies a steaming pile of economic mismanagement that's threatening to tank the US economy, screw over consumers, and spark a global trade war. So, let's peel back the layers, from the surface shenanigans to the deep systemic rot, and expose how the government's reckless policies are driving us straight into recession territory. And don't worry, I've got the latest data and examples to prove just how bad this is. First off, let's talk about the immediate victims of Trump's tariff tantrum, American businesses. These Liberation Day tariffs are hitting companies like Learning Resources and Hand2Mind right in the wallet. These are family-owned businesses making educational toys, hardly the corporate fat cats Trump loves to demonize. But thanks to the 10% universal tariff, their input costs are skyrocketing. And it's not just them. According to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, as of July 2025, small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, are reporting an average cost increase of 8.7% on imported goods due to these tariffs. That's not profit, that's survival money being ripped out of their pockets. Here's the kicker: businesses don't just eat these costs. They pass them on to you, the consumer. The National Retail Federation estimated in June 2025 that Trump's tariffs could increase household costs by an average of $1,200 per year. So, congratulations, America, your liberation comes with a hefty price tag. Want to buy a new laptop for your kids' schoolwork? Tough luck, it's now 10% more expensive. Need medical supplies? Oh, those are imported too, hope you've got an extra $100 lying around. And let's not forget the ripple effects. The Institute for Supply Management's latest report, July 2025, shows that U.S. manufacturing activity has contracted for the third consecutive month, with the Purchasing Managers' Index, PMI, dropping to 46.2, a clear sign of recessionary pressure. Why? Because tariffs are gumming up supply chains, increasing costs, and killing demand. But hey, Trump says it's all about protecting American jobs, right? Spoiler alert, it's not. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reported in June 2025 that manufacturing job growth has stalled since the tariffs were announced, with only 3,000 net jobs added compared to an average of 15,000 per month in 2024. So much for that America First magic. Now, let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture, the global economy. Trump's tariffs aren't just a domestic disaster, they're a Molotov cocktail thrown into an already fragile global trade system. The World Trade Organization, WTO, warned in its July 2025 outlook that global trade growth is projected to slow to just 1.7% this year, down from 2.8% in 2024, largely due to escalating trade tensions sparked by, you guessed it, the US. And it's not just talk. China, the EU, and Canada have already retaliated with their own tariffs on American goods. According to the Peterson Institute for International Economics, as of June 2025, U.S. exports to China have plummeted by 14% year-over-year, costing American farmers and manufacturers billions. Let's talk specifics. American soybean farmers, already battered by Trump's first trade war in 2018, are getting crushed again. The U.S. Department of Agriculture reported in July 2025 that soybean exports to China, the world's largest market, have dropped by 22% since the new tariffs kicked in. Farmers are drowning in unsold inventory, and bankruptcies in the agricultural sector are up 30% compared to last year, per the American Farm Bureau Federation. But hey, Trump's got a plan, right? Just slap more tariffs on Chinese goods and call it a win. Meanwhile, the average American is paying more for everything from groceries to car parts, and the global economy is teetering on the edge of a full-blown trade war. And here's the cherry on top. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, downgraded its 2025 global growth forecast in July to 3.1%, citing policy uncertainty in the U.S. as a primary driver. Translation: Trump's tariff tantrum is dragging the entire world into the economic gutter. But sure, let's give the lower courts more time to weigh in while the global economy burns. Now, let's dig into the legal quagmire at the heart of this story. The core issue is whether Trump even has the authority to impose these tariffs. The businesses suing the administration argue that the 1977 International Emergency Economic Powers Act, IEEPA, doesn't give the president carte blanche to slap tariffs on everything under the sun. And here's the thing, they're right. The IEEPA was designed for actual emergencies, like national security threats or major economic crises, not for political stunts or campaign promises. But Trump's team is arguing that the fentanyl crisis and unfair trade practices justify declaring a national emergency. Seriously? By that logic, the president could declare an emergency over a bad hair day and start taxing barbers. This isn't just a legal debate, it's a constitutional crisis in the making. If the Supreme Court lets this slide, it sets a dangerous precedent, giving future presidents unchecked power to weaponize tariffs for political gain. And let's not forget the timing. Trump's begging the Supreme Court to delay a fast-track review because he knows his legal ground is shakier than a Jenga tower in an earthquake. The longer this drags out, the more damage these tariffs do, and the harder it becomes to undo them. It's a masterclass in governmental incompetence, folks. Now, let's connect the dots and talk about the big picture, recession risk. Folks, the U.S. economy is flashing red warning lights, and Trump's tariffs are pouring gasoline on the fire. Let's look at the data. The Conference Board's leading economic index, LEI, dropped by 0.6% in June 2025, marking 6 consecutive months of decline, a classic precursor to recession. Consumer confidence, per the University of Michigan's latest survey, is at its lowest level since mid-2022, as Americans grapple with rising costs and economic uncertainty. And the yield curve? Oh, it's been inverted since March 2025, with the 10-year Treasury yield falling below the 2-year yield, a signal that's predicted every recession since the 1970s. But wait, there's more. The Federal Reserve, already struggling to tame inflation, which, by the way, hit 4.8% in June 2025, per the Bureau of Labor Statistics, is now in an impossible bind. Tariffs are inflationary, they drive up costs, which drive up prices, which drive up inflation. But if the Fed raises interest rates to cool things down, it risks tipping the economy into a full-blown recession. Meanwhile, Trump's out here tweeting about winning the trade war, while Main Street businesses are shuddering and Wall Street is bracing for a bear market. The S&P 500, by the way, is down 12% year-to-date as of July 2025, per Bloomberg data, and volatility is at a 2-year high. This, folks, is what happens when you let a reality TV star run an economy. It's not just bad policy, it's government mismanagement on a scale we haven't seen since the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act of 1930, which, by the way, helped trigger the Great Depression. But hey, I'm sure Trump's got a beautiful plan to fix it all, right? Alright, folks, here's the bottom line. Trump's tariff tantrum is a textbook example of economic vandalism, and the government's mismanagement is pushing us straight into recession territory. From screwing over small businesses to sparking a global trade war, from flouting the rule of law to ignoring every economic warning sign, this administration is a one-stop shop for chaos. And the worst part? They're trying to stall the courts to keep this circus going, all while Americans are left holding the bag. So, what's the fix? Step 1, the Supreme Court needs to fast-track this case and shut down Trump's illegal power grab. Step 2, Congress needs to grow a spine and reclaim its constitutional authority over trade policy, no more letting presidents play economic dictator. And Step 3, we, the people, need to hold these clowns accountable. Because if we don't, the only liberation we'll get is liberation from our jobs, our savings, and our economic future. That's all for today, folks. If you're as pissed off as I am, smash that like button, subscribe, and share this video with every hardworking American who's sick of this nonsense. And remember, here at Boss Economics World, we don't just report the news, we dunk on the dummies making it. Until next time, keep fighting the good fight and stay boss.